now we're coming from the footstool on which we stand as the evaluation group, because the people who came before us were looking at assessment. So we are saying in classrooms we can have learning taking place, learners writing, marks rising every now and then, but sometimes we fail to see the actual learning taking place. How do we see that? We see that because whatever outcome that we get from the writing that we do in class, the tests, the examinations, it is only a quantity. It needs to be judged. It needs to be evaluated. So this is where we are saying evaluation is very important, because what we get from assessment is evidence. What we get from assessment are measurements. We have the scores which are numeric in nature, and those scores by themselves, they need someone to analyze them, they need someone to judge them, they need someone to give meaning, to give information, to give a message which can be used to make decisions. Therefore, evaluation is very, very important. So let's get to the definition of evaluation. There are two organizations that are very important when it comes to evaluation, when it comes to education, because they are concerned about the growth of economies. Education is the one that feeds into the economic zone. So we have OECD and UNESCO. They are saying evaluation is a systematic process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting evidence. It is a systematic process of collecting, interpreting, and analyzing evidence. Where do we get this evidence? We get this evidence from assessment. So, from assessment, we use tools such as examinations, tools such as quizzes, tools such as exercises. So, from that evidence, this is where we interpret, we analyze, and we give information to the people who are supposed to make decisions. It makes informed judgments about achievement, quality, or effectiveness. So we are saying evaluation on its own is a quality assurance tool. We have to determine quality of education through evaluation. It guides the subsequent decisions and improvements. So what we are saying is when we are evaluating, we have to check, we have to pause. Are we going on the right direction? Are we in the right direction? Because whatever that we teach in class is based on objectives. We have objectives when we are teaching. We have learning objectives. So we have to go to the objectives and look into the evidence that we have. If we met the objectives, if we achieve the intended goals. So that's the issue of evaluation. That's all about the definition of the evaluation. So we are saying we can't talk of evaluation without talking about measurement, without talking about assessment, because we are saying measurement is contained in assessment. In assessment, that's where we get the numeric scores, the quantitative aspect of assessment. That's measurement. Where you say a learner has gotten 65%, 70%, 40%. That's measurement. Then on assessment, we are collecting that evidence to say this is what the learner has gotten from this examination. Now the next step will be saying, let's look at the evidence that we have and decide what it means. We are giving meaning to the evidence that we have. Just with evidence, it will simply be data which is not useful, but it has to be interpreted, it has to be analyzed, it has to be given a meaning, so that we can make decisions which include changing teaching methods, also improving the curriculum. We have seen a number of changes in Zimbabwe in terms of our curriculum. So an example, we are in agriculture group. Example, in agriculture, we have maybe 65% has been attained by a learner. It becomes a measurement of what the learner has obtained. But with that evidence, a teacher will be saying, this happened because of 1, 2, 3, and we have the objectives. How far have we attained the objectives? What has to be done by the student, by the teacher? Because evaluation is not only something that is supposed to be on the learner, it also should be reflective on the teacher, on his teaching methods, on his teaching approaches, on the literature that he needs to bring within a teaching and learning setup. So we are saying measurement gives the number, assessment gives evidence, and evaluation gives judgment. Now, let's move to the purposes. The purpose of evaluation. That is the rationale of evaluation. I think my colleague there is written rationale. That's the purpose, that's the importance, that's the main reason why we should evaluate. After teaching, after making sure that we have our objectives which are SMART. By SMART we are saying they should be measurable, they should be attainable, they should be time bound. Those objectives need to be aligned with what we have at the end of the day. So we can't have objectives and we fail to meet them. When we fail to meet them, we have compromised the quality of education that we have. So the purpose of evaluation is to determine achievements of objectives. That's number one. To determine the achievement of objectives. Have we achieved our objectives? Have we attained the goals, the main purpose of teaching and learning? Also, evaluation provides feedback. It provides feedback to the stakeholders. Stakeholders include learners, teachers, the school administration, the community, the government itself. That is why sometimes you see the pass rate for a certain district maybe 15%, the other districts they have maybe 23%, the national pass rate will be maybe 23%. That's feedback. So that feedback will lead into improvements. It will lead into training. It also calls into the training needs maybe of teachers, or maybe the improvement of the curriculum, or maybe the improvement of the availability of resources that are needed for effective teaching and learning. The other purpose is it improves teaching. It is meant to improve teaching. Because teaching and learning is not static, it's dynamic. How people used to learn long back is different from how we are learning right now. Long back we used to use textbooks. Now we have access to the internet, we have access to the global literature that is available. So it improves teaching. Then also it identifies learner differences and needs. When you are evaluating, you can actually see the differences, the individual differences that are attached, that are embedded in each and every learner, just by merely looking at the evaluation report. You can tell a story. So what we are saying, evaluation tells a story about an individual learner. Okay. Then the next one is it improves curriculum implementation. Sometimes we have, yesterday, I had the issue of CBC, which is competence-based curriculum, being mentioned, and also HBC. Then I was asking myself, what is the difference between these two? Have we removed competence from HBC? No, we haven't. So are we saying we have replaced CBC? No, we haven't replaced CBC, but we have improved CBC by using resources that are locally available. Hence, we are saying heritage-based. And when you're talking about heritage, we are saying we are people from Zimbabwe, with our own culture, with our own languages, with our own resources. Let's use those resources that are available to make sure that we have educational outcomes that can solve problems that we face as a society. So we are saying sometimes evaluation is used to improve curriculum implementation, because we are saying if we want to have good scientists and the resources that we need are obtained from outside, we are going to have a barrier, we are creating a barrier. So let's use the resources that we have so that everything that we are doing become localized but can also be implemented globally. So that's where we are talking about the improvement of curriculum implementation. Then it also supports educational decision making. When we evaluate and we realize that there is a gap between the objectives that we had and what we actually had, the judgment is saying we were expecting to have at least 80% pass rate, but we have 65% pass rate. What is the issue? Then now we have to look into all the stakeholders that are involved in teaching and learning. Do we have the corporate world having that culture of supporting the schools? If no, then we make a note. Do we have the government supplying or deploying enough teachers in schools or enough resources in schools? If it's a no, you take note. That's when we are saying we are supporting educational decisions. That's why sometimes you find computers being donated to certain schools, solar systems being installed in certain schools which are hard to reach districts, like Mudzi, like in Gwanda. They will be having solar systems being installed and computers being donated. That's an educational decision making that has to happen. And also some companies, we are talking about social corporate responsibilities of companies. We are saying, let's say for example, we have Delta beverages. They realize that there are children who are walking 15 kilometers to come to school. What they could do is to build some houses which are used as hostels to provide food for those children so that they don't walk long distances. Those are educational decisions that are made. And they can only come from evaluation. When we judge to say, we have this result, it's because of this. It's not the student alone. That is why my brother who was presenting last time, he was saying, Matari was talking about, was questioning to say, is it the teacher or it is the student? So when we are evaluating the whole system. It's not an error, is the one he was talking about. It's not the learner only. It's also the teacher, it's also the system. The system you're talking about, the government. Are they doing enough? Because we end up having good blueprints without implementation. So that's the other issue. Then evaluation promotes accountability. Evaluation promotes accountability. Accountability, we are saying each and every person should be accountable for his actions, for his or her actions. The government should be accountable, the teacher should be accountable, the school administration should be accountable, the learner himself or herself should be accountable. So it gives us an overview of who did what, how, when, and why. Yeah. Then we go to the promotion of continuous improvement. We are saying education is not static. Education is dynamic. Why education is dynamic? We are saying we had before post-independence, pre-independence, we had another type of education which was supporting students or learners to become employees. After education also adopted the same kind of education. Then later on we realized that we are having problems. We are having the problem of brain drain. The industries are collapsing. What should we do? We had to change. We had to go back and improve our curriculum. Therefore, we didn't remain stagnant. We became dynamic. Then later on, after that, in 2015 to 2022, we had another curriculum change, which is the CBC. Now, 2024 to 2030, we have another. So we are responding to the challenges that we are facing. So that's why we are saying it promotes continuous improvement. So let's go to the evaluation of achievement. when we are evaluating achievement, we are evaluating whether learners have achieved the intended learning outcomes. The learning outcomes are those objectives. We achieved the objectives. So in, let's say in agriculture, we are saying, let's say, identify the sources of soil erosion and implement appropriate conservation measures. You see, these are the objectives that we have. But at the end of the learning period, or during the learning period, sometimes they are saying don't evaluate at the end of the lesson or at the end of the topic, but during that particular learning interaction. That interaction that is there, you should be able to evaluate to see whatever that I have planned, if they achieve. Is my children, if my children achieve whatever that I wanted, if I delivered enough, did I bring enough sufficient literature to support my teaching and learning? If I engaged the learners enough, you get it? So I want maybe one person just to give me an example of a smart objective. Those objectives are supposed to be drafted from simple to complex. Can someone give me, just using your area of specialization, one objective which is simple in nature? Can we have someone to give me one objective which is simple in nature? We want to use it so that we get to understand what we're talking about. Yes, Kabit.
By the end of the lesson, we must be able to state at least 3 cardinal truths.
Okay, thank you very much.
15 minutes left.
Yeah. He said by the end of the lesson. He said by the end of the lesson, learners should be able to do one. Should we wait for the end of the lesson if things are bad? Should we wait for the end of the lesson? So what should we say? What should we say when we are formulating a smart objective? Because we are saying a learner has proved that he is not understanding. Should I wait for the end of the lesson? What should I do? What should I say? During the lesson, learners should be able to do what? To state. At least three. So we see the issue of quantity. Everything is specific. The quantity of things that are required is specific. So that's it, that's okay. So we are saying now, after giving a work, written work, questions and observations and practical activity, we have to ask, a teacher has to ask when we are evaluating, to what extent has the learner achieved the intended competence? You see, that's where you evaluate. When you are evaluating, you're looking at the strengths, you're looking at the weaknesses, you're also looking at the interventions that you can take as a teacher. The way forward, you're not way forward. The one that you say way forward, then you write something. Then, so we are saying is objectives establish the destination. For you to go to a destination, you have to write down where you are going. So objectives establish a destination. Then evaluation establishes how far the learner has traveled towards that destination. So that's the importance of evaluation. Then to the learner, that time I was talking about, let's go to the learner. The learner would have to ask, what have I mastered? What do I need to improve? That's the learner. What have I mastered? What do I need to improve? Then the teacher will be saying, what have the learners understood? What needs reteaching? What teaching strategy should change? From the way I'm teaching, what teaching strategy should change? What should I embrace? What should I employ in my teaching, my interaction with my students? Then, effective formative assessment links diagnosis, meaning feedback, and adaptation. So we are saying, when you're talking about formative, now we are going to the types of evaluation. Formative evaluation When you're forming something, you're creating something. So during the formation, that is why when we said by the end of the lesson, I had to pose a question to say, should we wait for the end of the question of the lesson? I said no. So we said during. So the during aspect relates to the formative nature of evaluation. When you're forming something, when you're creating something, when there is a mistake, you don't wait for it to be corrected so that you can come back and correct that. You correct it very late because you correct what needs to be corrected. So that is formative evaluation. So we are saying during the process, you should be evaluating. You don't evaluate at the end. You don't wait for the end to evaluate. During that process, you can, how many minutes are left? So we are saying formative evaluation occurs during teaching and learning. The principal purpose or the main purpose is to identify learning gaps and improve ongoing learning. That's formative evaluation. Examples like questioning. Like if I ask a question, I would want to believe that someone somewhere would have heard me saying something. So I would want to test to see whether there are no gaps between my interaction, between my teaching and your listening skills. Teachers establish goals, diagnose progress, provide feedback, and adapt teaching during formative evaluation. So formative evaluation, just think about the way it form. You are forming something, you are building something, you are creating something. During that creation, you have to make sure that they are minimized incidents where you allow an error to be cared for. So let's go to summative evaluation. Summative evaluation, let's use the word sum or summary. We are saying at the end of maybe the lesson, at the end of the term, at the end of the program, at the end of any period that concludes a certain aspect, a certain learning interaction, the evaluation that you come up with, that's the summative evaluation. That summative evaluation also leads to certification, it leads to improvement, it leads to that cycle, because evaluation is not stagnant, it's not a word, it's something that is a cycle. It comes back. When you evaluate, you are judging, you are analyzing, you are taking action, then you are coming back to assessment. So it's a cycle. It comes back like that. It's in cycle. It's not something that you do once and you go home and sleep. So we are saying, summarize what happened. Summarize what happened. During formative evaluation, or even formative versus summative evaluation, we are saying formative is during learning, improvement oriented, diagnostic, provide feedback, guide subsequent teaching. Summative is at the end of learning, achievement oriented, conclusive, records achievement, supports grading and certification. So form is to improve, then sum is to judge or summarize. So we move beyond that, the statement that the learners have failed. So what does the evidence show? Because we have the evidence. What does it show? Let's give meaning to the evidence that we have. Let's give meaning to what we obtained from the assessment stage. We are giving meaning to that. So what should I change as a teacher? A teacher should say, what should I change? Should I change my teaching method? Should I change my interaction with the students? And also the students should also ask the same question, because it's reflective in nature. When you're evaluating, you're introspective, you are looking deep into yourself and look at your strengths, your weaknesses, and tell yourself, ask yourself, then what is the way forward? What should I do? So evaluation is a cycle of professional reflection and improvement. So we are saying in that cycle, in the evaluation cycle, we are saying before you start teaching, you have objectives. Those objectives, they are followed by teaching and learning. That's a process between the teacher and the learners. And from there, we bring tools such as examinations to assess the students. When we assess the students, from the assessment, we get the evidence that we need to evaluate. We are now judging the evidence that we got from the assessment stage. So we are saying, after evaluation, during evaluation, we judge, make decisions, we take action. When we are taking action, we also go back to assessment, reassess. That's the cycle that you're talking about. So evaluation, it includes judgment, decision making, action, and reassessment. It's not something that has to stop the day you evaluate. It's
7 minutes.
left. So what I would want you to write down is mnemonic. It's a abbreviation. It's EIJDA. So that is the framework from which we operate when we're talking about evaluation. Because we are saying for you to evaluate, you need evidence. Where do we get evidence from? From assessment. Then that evidence needs to be analyzed and interpreted. So interpretation comes. After you get evidence, you should be able to interpret the evidence. Then after interpreting the evidence, you need to be able to judge, to give a judgment. Judgment based on the interpretation that you come up with. Then with a judgment, you can make a decision. You say, no guys, these things are not working, or these things are working, or there's something that we need to add. We need to top up something. That's a decision making. Then after that, when you make a decision, because a decision is made in the mind, what's left is action. Many a times we have people making decisions, but we fail to act. So there is need for action. So some of the things that we see, some of the problems that we see is because there is deficiency of action. So you need to act. So that's the last part. So when you're acting it means you are doing something about it. Doing something about it includes reassessment. Then coming and see how far you go. So evaluation is not just a report that you write. Evaluation is not meant to beautify books or to make the government or the administration or whoever or the stakeholders happy. A good evaluation report should have characteristics. So what is that good evaluation? What are the characteristics of a good evaluation? A good evaluation should be valid. It should measure what it intends to measure. When you have objectives, you can't talk about any other thing that is outside the objectives. So it has to.
I know that when it comes to individual evaluation, classes,
we have spoken. Okay.
Cinema evaluation atinoita nemamwe atinozoita kupera kwegore saka sorry, thank you for allowing me to.
If you were actually paying attention, maybe you skipped
There's a lot of literature, a lot
Yeah.
of things that
Okay.
jumped through.
Okay. So what happened was I spoke about evaluation, not as something that is on the learner only. When I was asking questions to say what should I do as a teacher? Should I improve my teaching methods? Should I change the way I teach? Should I change the literature? What literature should I bring? Do I have children who are tactile? Do I have children who are visual in nature? So that it actually gives you a clue on what media to bring in class. I asked those questions. It was in question format. On the learner, on the teacher, and also on the authorities themselves. When we're talking about you need to make decisions, everyone should be accountable. I was talking about accountability as the purpose of the evaluation. It seeks every person is involved, every stakeholder to be accountable. It means a teacher has to be accountable. I gave an example which was given by my brother who is here about Matawi. It's fine, it's fine.
It's unfortunate that you are being defensive when I really wanted to know.
Am I
It's
defensive?
unfortunate you won't go to defend, but I really wanted to know.
So let's take one class.
What is evaluation? Evaluation is
I think he is not being defensive, but he's a bit on a talkative side. Because he was just supposed to say, I have mentioned it when I was saying this and that and that. Then you admit that it missed you.
Yes, that's
So I think he talked about it, but he missed it. Otherwise, he said it broadly. Saying the individual and the general. There are examples of what he was talking about, of which I think you can just go and discuss that during your spare time. I don't think it's something huge that you can spend 10 minutes talking about. Right. Thank you very much. I think it's time up. Let me take this opportunity. Sorry for not giving you a chance to ask questions, but I think they've done justice to their topic. That is why I'm interjecting. Otherwise, from the previous groups, none of the groups has ever presented this topic like this. Yes. So let me start by really appreciating the agriculture group by identifying the ability to identify talents in people or abilities. That is one of the qualities, or that is one of the characteristics for this module. It's one of the objectives that you should be able to achieve during or after this module. The ability to identify ability in your students and assign learners according to their abilities. That's part of assessment and evaluation. So thank you very much, Agriculture Group, for that ability to identify. Look at how he has used the board. That's very good. That's his ability. Our presenter, I don't know what to say. I'm running short of words, but otherwise that was very excellent.
Wow. Yes.
He has mastered this content very well, and he is very confident. He has an ability to relay the information to the audience. That is the spirit that we want. Let's all learn from those who are good at that. We can't all be like that, but let's strive to be better. So that is very good. I want to believe that we have inspired the next groups. So when we meet on Thursday, we are having the correlation group